What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and it is time for the Week 27 Premier League predictions. And massive shout out to the hundreds of people that have subscribed to the channel in the last month or so. I really do appreciate it. So drop the subscribe down below if you want to see all things Premier League, Champions League, and coming up very soon, Europa League, Conference League, all that good stuff. If you want it predicted, this is the place to be. In fact, in the last episode, I offered my first Premier League video predictions accumulator. It was the Week 26 winners treble, and on the fly, based on my predictions in the last episode, I said for you guys to place a treble of Villa, Man City and Wolves to win at odds of 3.32, and they all won. So hopefully all your viewers got on that for free. If you do have $8.99 a month to spare, then you can get exclusive members tips and accumulators. We have at the top Sakan Coates, who has been a member of the channel and of the Patreon for the longest time. I'll flash up on the screen the screenshots that they sent me. They basically took a bunch of my predictions and tips from yesterday and created an unbelievable sevenfold. You'll see some similar picks in the ACCAs I gave to the members, but they made a near 40-to-1 accumulator, put $20 on it, and won nearly $800 back. So all of these 7 selections that they picked were from a bunch of my accumulators, and here we have the Monday goals treble, odds of 6.73, the Monday 5 League 5-fold, Girona, Roma, Copenhagen, Braga, and Galatasaray all to win. With the win-to-nil double, Wolves and Inter Milan, and then the day before, we had the Sunday 5 League 5-fold, which was a little bit more straightforward. We had Liverpool to win the trophy, not to win the match, because I wasn't entirely certain. We, of course, had the Week 26 winners treble from the video, the Europa League goals treble, and an alternative Europa League goals double. And there were just so many goals in the Europa League. So if you want tips like all of the members flashing up on the screen now, then be sure to click the link in the description and join the Patreon and support for just $8.99 a month. And obviously, as you saw, Sakan Coates put $20 on, got nearly $800 back, which is enough to pay for a membership for like 8 years in a row if they wanted to do that, to get everything else for free. So if you want to support the channel and you want more exclusive tips other than the ones I can give in these videos, then consider supporting me down below on Patreon. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I see a lot of goals in this game week, and I've actually predicted 18 of the 20 teams to score, and one of them not to score, probably a little bit of a shock. One of them very much not a shock. So first up, we have Brentford up against Chelsea. I don't know how Chelsea are going to get on in the FA Cup against Leeds. Potentially an upset there. Who knows? Obviously, they ended up losing the Carabao Cup final right deep into extra time, which they would not be happy with. But I do think Chelsea can bounce back and get a win here. Brentford coming off of a pretty heavy loss to West Ham. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Chelsea. Did I want to push the button on Chelsea to win at 2.15? Looks very good, but I'm going safe. Both teams to score at 1.5. I could see Brentford winning this, but I definitely don't see Chelsea not scoring. So I think both teams to score at 1.5 is a phenomenal shout. After that, it's Everton up against West Ham. West Ham, obviously, as I just mentioned, beating out Brentford, and Everton getting a good point away at the MX Stadium against Brighton. I think this is going to be a close game. I couldn't separate the two. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And again, my tip is both teams to score at 1.75. The first 4 games, the tips are all both teams to score because I'm more confident in that than the result market. So speaking of the next game, it is Fulham up against Brighton. Fulham beating Manchester United at the Theatre of Dreams. Obviously, if you saw Fulham's tweet, you'll know what I'm talking about there. But a late winner from Iwobi, big up Iwobi, ex-Arsenal, beating Man United at the death. And then Brighton getting a draw against Everton. They would have wanted to win that game, of course. I don't know which way this is going to go. I'm going to go high scoring. I'm going to go 2-2 between the two teams, and the tip is, as I said, both teams to score at 1.53. So we're going to move swiftly on to Newcastle up against Wolves. Newcastle at St James's Park against Wolves, who managed to beat Sheffield United 1-0. We did predict that in the last video. It was a part of our treble, but Newcastle getting absolutely battered by Arsenal. We did tip Arsenal and both teams to score in the last video because the odds of Arsenal to win at 1.36 I thought were abysmally low. But luckily, Joe Willock, the Arsenal boy, got the consolation goal for Newcastle that saw that bet come in. But Arsenal were streets ahead of Newcastle. Absolutely battered them. Like, absolutely battered them. So Newcastle will look to bounce back here. Wolves are a tricky opponent. I think there's going to be goals. I'm going to shade it to Newcastle because you feel like they've got to have something to be excited about. I don't know if they're going to get past Blackburn, I think it is, in the FA Cup. We will see. But I think Newcastle can take the win here at St James's Park against Wolves. I'm going to go 2-1. But again, my tip is both teams to score at 1.57. And it's very rare I do the 4 same tips in a row. But the Premier League just set an all-time record for the most goals per game on average for a month, and that was the month of February. I think the average was 3.8 goals a game, so it's not unreasonable to predict both teams to score in pretty much all of these fixtures, as I have done in this video. So both teams to score at 1.57, but Newcastle to win nonetheless. After this, it's Nottingham Forest up against Liverpool. We predicted Aston Villa to win and both teams to score against Forest in the last game week. Liverpool didn't play in the Premier League, but we did predict them to lift the trophy against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. So you got a pretty good feel for these teams, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Liverpool. I know they've got some selection issues, but I still think Liverpool are going to get the win. They have to. They've got Man City and Arsenal hot on their heels, and as an Arsenal fan, I'm very glad to see that they're still within the race for the title. Do I think they're going to win? No, but you never know. I'm going to go Liverpool 3-1, and the tip is Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 2.75. After this, we travel to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for Tottenham up against Crystal Palace, and this I'm going for my first clean sheet, which might sound a little bit crazy. Crystal Palace taking advantage of a Burnley red card, absolutely battering them 3-0. We did tip Crystal Palace to win, and I do think that Tottenham are going to get the win. And for some reason, I just get the feeling that Crystal Palace aren't going to score. I don't know why. Like, Tottenham, they don't tend to keep clean sheets. This really is just a gut feeling. Like, Tottenham, they lost out to Wolves 2-1. They then beat Brighton 2-1. After that, the next one was 2-2 draw with Everton. So let's try and see if we can find the last time they got a clean sheet. They won and both teams to score against Brentford. We predicted a 2-2 draw between them and Manchester United. When was Tottenham Hotspur's last clean sheet in the Premier League? They won and both teams to score against Bournemouth. They lost with both teams scoring against Brighton. They won and both teams to score against Everton. The last time they kept a clean sheet was week 17. They won 2-0 away from home. So they haven't been keeping clean sheets much, but 10 weeks on, I'm going to go for their next 2-0. Tottenham 2, Crystal Palace 0, and the tip is Tottenham to win at 1.5. Would I back Tottenham win to 0? Absolutely not, but I figured rather than just going 2-1, you know what? Oh, I want to change my prediction to 2-1, but I'll leave it at 2-0. No, I'm going to change it to 2-1. That's it. Now only one team's not scoring. I've literally taught myself out of it. It seems crazy to think Tottenham get a clean sheet. I could see 2-0. I could see 2-1. End of the day, it doesn't matter because my tip is Tottenham to win. So all it is, Tottenham to win. Moving on, we have Luton up against Aston Villa. Now, Luton will be hosting Manchester City, I believe, in the FA Cup. I can't see them getting much out of that game. I think they're probably going to score, but they're going to lose, aren't they? Let's be real. But I think this will be a closer game. Luton and Aston Villa. Aston Villa won last week and both teams to score. Luton obviously didn't play. I think it's going to be another Villa win. Both teams to score. I'm going to say Aston Villa to win 2-1. And my tip is Aston Villa to win at 1.75. You could go Villa and both teams to score. You could just go both teams to score because Luton might be able to get something. I don't think it's going to be a destruction of Luton. I think at home in the league, they tend to keep it quite close, even though they often lose. So I'm going to go for that 2-1 win to Aston Villa, who absolutely dismantled Nottingham Forest in that first half in the last game week. After this, it's Burnley up against Bournemouth. Turf Moor. This one's really difficult. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Bournemouth win. I thought about both teams to score as a tip, but then I thought Bournemouth could win to 0. But then I thought Burnley could get a result. I do think Burnley have a good chance to get a result, but I'm just going to shade it to Bournemouth. And the tip, I'm going to say Bournemouth to win at 1.95. I wouldn't include... I'm giving that tip because I have to. I don't necessarily think 100% it's going to happen, so I'd stay away from this game, to be honest, because it could be 0-0. It could be 3-2 to either team. This is probably the hardest game that I could possibly predict because you have no idea what you're going to get with Bournemouth or Burnley. You could get a great Bournemouth or a terrible Burnley or a mid Burnley and a mid Bournemouth. Like, you just don't know. So I'm going to go 2-1, give the win to Bournemouth because that's pretty much where I live. So we'll be a bit biased there. After that, it's the Manchester derby. Man City up against Man United. Both teams will be playing in the FA Cup. I think City get an extra day's rest, which suits them. City are going to win this game. I'll give Man United a consolation goal, but I'm going to go for Manchester City 4, Man United 1. I think this is going to be huge. I think City are way too good. United they're lucky to be where they are in the league. They are losing XG battles left, right and centre, and they are massively outperforming their performances in terms of points they get versus how well they actually play. I think Man City are going to absolutely batter them. I could see it being 3-0 at half time and then a little consolation goal in the second half. So City to win and both teams to score is the tip. At 2.5, United are getting battered. I hope not. Genuinely, I hope not, because following that, we have Monday Night Football, Bramall Lane, Sheffield United up against Arsenal. This is it. This was the other team other than Palace who I've now changed my mind about that I don't see getting a goal. Arsenal have been absolutely lethal this year. Away from home, at home, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go for 3-0 win to Arsenal. My tip is Arsenal to win an under 4.5 goals at 1.61. That was better than Arsenal -1 handicap at 1.5. I think because it could just be a 1-0 win, couldn't it? Arsenal at the moment, it's all about getting 3 points, especially when you're playing teams like Sheffield United. You need to get the win. So I'm going to go for Arsenal and under 4.5 goals. Arsenal to win 3-0. So that's these 3 points once again for the top 5, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham and Villa. Nothing particularly exciting other than Manchester United getting battered. So once again, thank you so much for the support on these videos. Drop a like, leave your prediction down in the comments, and subscribe with the bell turned on so you don't miss any of the prediction videos coming up for the rest of the season. And I will see you in the next video very soon.